San Francisco Museum and the San Francisco Historical Society have asked me to put on a show of the San Francisco world of Richard Perri, which includes places, faces, and things. These are some of the things that I find that are uniquely San Francisco. I've been painting for a long time, and back in the 80s, I took a ride one day, and I like to do on-site paintings, and I stopped in front of Red's Java House and did a little painting of it. It kind of had a feeling to it for me at that point. And I've got the picture here, and I'd like to show you the original one. This was the one that started it all with Red's Java House. This one I did on location in 1989. It was just a quick sketch of the place. But I sort of got a feel for it. It kind of spoke to me, calling out and saying, here I am. So then, from this, I incorporated the image and I started to work on it a little bit more. Took drawing, we made a lot of drawings of it, took pictures of it, got to know the place, went into it, and we had a cup of coffee every once in a while. And one day I came up with the idea of just memorializing it in the sense of just focusing it in a large scale like this. And it really spoke to me. It just resonated somehow. What gave me a feeling of involvement with the piece. I worked with it in terms of the colors and some theory, the imagery, but what I really wanted to capture was this austere quality that this place stands alone and is significant on its own. And it was the beginning of a series of images that I thought might work well and speak to the people of San Francisco. Now, Wolf's Lunch is another place that's off the Embarcadero. It's down on 18th Street, just at the base of Potrero Hill. And this is another little place, the wooden structure, kind of a shanty sort of architecture that it has, a beautifully colored blue building. And I wanted to contrast the complementary with the orange behind it, the orange sky. And again, giving it that austere quality, the feeling of it just standing there on its own in this vast void, just engaging the viewer, and actually me too as I painted it, and just pulling me into seeing what's more about it, what actually it's all about. In addition to the imagery, there's work in terms of how the paint's applied and the many layers of color is working into the different areas with different layers of paint. And I wanted to create a feeling of luminosity as well as a good, solid, firm footing out of this one of these images. The villas kind of squat down, really covered, ray of the ground that it sits on. And I had fun doing it at the same time. And I started to work on Walt's Diner. Now, Walt's was another one that's, again, sort of off the Embarcadero, but again, characteristic of the shanty shop, of these shanty little cafes, kind of clapboard, but also having certain attraction to it. Now, this sort of warm feeling that I get in the case of Walt's was near the corner of King Street and 7th. So this is another characteristic place of these areas where these guys would work and then come in and have their lunch or breakfast or beer or any kind of food to go. But it was catered to that blue-collar, working class kind of individual. Now this place is gone since I painted it. It's been razed. It's just nothing there anymore. And it's just part of history, and I'm glad that I had an opportunity to have a chance to capture this place and then present it. Do it. One time it was even set up so that behind this tree there was patio, outside tables, and guys would sit out there. They'd sit out there and have repasts. So after I painted Walt's, the fourth painting on the agenda was Pier 23. And Pier 23 is a little bit more upscale than the other places, although again, it's characteristic of the same kind of architecture, the clapboard wood, shanty style architecture. And it's also on the pier, but probably was at one time a Java Hut, but now it's more of a bar and then a cocktail lounge and a restaurant. The interesting thing about this one is that it's in a more of an upscale part of town as it is now. This is more closer towards the wharf, and it gets a different kind of clientele, although at one time, I'm sure, it did get all of the same kind of people that Red's and Waltz and all the other places did. But again, it's characteristic of the San Francisco tradition of Java houses. It's unique, it's there, it's timeless in its own way. These are my little undiscovered San Francisco places, but they're all done in this way. They're all done in sort of a monumental way. I want to just focus the viewer's attention on these places, and again, use a delicate balance of color and form and shape and paint application and many layers of paint. Lots of paint, lots of time goes into these, and drawings, pictures, studies, and I've got a lot of energy working this, but I really enjoy it. It's fun at it. So I went to Carmen's, and Carmen's has been there a long time. This is on 3rd Street, near the slough. It goes from the bay into heart of San Francisco in this area, and then as it goes down farther, there's a bunch of households there, and that's her. Carmen's is right next to a drawbridge on 3rd Street. Originally, this place was called Blanchard's, which was an little artist's restaurant. It had a little patio on the back, and again, it had the same kind of food, and it was characteristically the same kind of clapboard architecture, the funky kind of wooden architecture that was prevalent of all those little cafes and restaurants and Java joints all along the waterfront, and this was no exception. Carmen's was fun to paint. The reflection of it really worked well. I enjoyed painting this one very much, and again, I captured a feeling of austerity, engagement, using some sort of complementary colors relating to each other, many layers of paint. Can you create an iridescent quality in the sky, opacity underneath, some reflective quality here, and just to work it up in a nice big painting and focusing on just one element solidly tanked, rounded into the surface that it sits on. Now, as I mentioned before, Red's Java House was pretty much the germinating joint, if you will, that got me started on this series, this Java House series. Eventually, I could get down the street and I worked on Welcome to Java House. The interesting thing about Welcome to Java House is that, as I mentioned before, Red's Java House because Red had red hair. His name was Tom. This was originally Ben's Java House, who is Red's brother. They both had Java joints along the Embarcadero. This one is right along the Embarcadero, just around the corner from Pac Bell or whatever you want to, SB Stadium, whatever you want to call it now. This one I had fun with. I wanted to work with Red on this. I wanted to work with it because Red is hard to work with. So I tried to develop, again, an environment where there was a certain amount of austerity and engagement and loneliness in the image just to keep the continuity going, but incorporating a red sky, sort of an orange sunlight, and also a complement the pink in between. So the whole thing I worked with orange and the blue, the green and the red, again applying the paint some places very, very thinly and many layers, other places a little bit thicker layers, creating some sort of movement in the ground that sort of pulls in. I had a good time working with this one too. It was a little bit harder, I found, but I thought it really worked well. The whole feeling that I got with this was very strong, very emotional. From a ballpark and from Carmen's, coming down 3rd Street, there's a place called the Triangle Sandwich Shop. And that's on the corner of 18th and 3rd Street. Again, it's just one of these standalone places. The different thing about this is that even though it's one of those characteristic Java giant restaurant kind of belly bomb shelters I refer to them sometimes, it's not clapboard on the front. It's pretty much a sort of a stucco. It's a great spot. It just sits there by itself on the corner of 3rd and 16th Street. But it's being gobbled up by the growth of the concrete and the buildings and the construction that's going on all over San Francisco. There were high-rises coming up behind it from the Mission Bay project. The whole landscape was totally changed. The cement factory is gone. The well trucks are gone. Of course, the city still looms behind it. It's getting close. And another thing I like to do is I like to use the wires and the telephone poles to kind of tie these places down and everything them together. All of these things to me kind of work together hand in hand. And you have many layers of paint, not only in the sky, but also on the building itself. Layers in the shadows, just time and work and commitment to the reality of the passing of time. So it's almost like I'm doing a time study here. It's I'm recreating time by capturing it in the moment. This painting, along with the other ones, capture the timeless quality of work and the imagery of San Francisco as a place that's undiscovered in a sense, and I have an opportunity to be the one that discovers these undiscovered places and presents them to you. Okay, now what about this place, the Bonanza? What's this all about? Is this a Java app? No, deep sea. But what it is, again, it's another characteristic, undiscovered place that has the same kind of feeling. It caters to the same kind of individual. And actually it still does. This is down in the lower South of Market area. What I liked about this one was the feeling that it had in terms of the imagery that I'm trying to pull together here was I wanted to present another view of San Francisco. In this case, I wanted to emphasize the telephone poles and the wires. There are telephone poles and wires all over San Francisco. They're ubiquitous. It's part of what the city is all about. And that in relationship to the restaurant tied it all together. I wanted to make a larger scale picture incorporating not only the building and the bonanza, but also the use of the telephone poles and wires. And we could composite an image. And the unique thing about this is the juxtaposition of this old place, old telephone wires, and then the disc, TV disc. No, if you notice, there's only one antenna here, the old style TV antenna. And actually, this nowadays it's an old style dish too. And good memory, just as old as it is. And again, the austere quality of the loneliness, the engaging place in the middle of nowhere, kind of calling you in, come on in and relax. What is this place? This certainly isn't made out of wood. What this is about, again, the change in times. This was characteristically catered place on the corner of 3rd and Townsend Street, across from the original old train station, the Union Pacific Station. This beautiful, grand, old, vaulted ceiling train station, classic out of the 30s and 40s, probably teeming with people all the time. Guys going to work in the morning, stopping in for a pop on the way in, to the bar, or coming back, picking up bottle who was in the liquor store, taking to the office, or just going in a restaurant. There's a restaurant there too allowed. So it was a very popular hangout, very favorite place of a lot of people for a long, long time. And here is just I wanted to throw in a couple of people, just to get the feeling of what's happened. Here we have the guy who, the blue-collar type of guy, and here the introduction of the executive and businessman. And this building is on there. It's been raised about a year ago. The ballpark is about a block away, and now it's a big, huge, square, condominium, shiny building that just has a new, modern, inhuman kind of feeling to it, if you would. I had fun with this too. I like to work with the light and everything else. Some interesting clouds in the sky as well, kind of the sweet clouds that from the cirrus sort of clouds that sort of move very quickly. Again, wires, lampposts, all part of San Francisco, a few mountain rocks on the road. I live in North Beach. Lived here since I came to this town. Love the area, love the neighborhood. And one day I was walking home and I stopped by a corner of Jones and Filbert Street and looked down And I saw this view and I thought, this is great. This is really the neighborhood as I see it. This is like North Beach in a nutshell. The church, St. Peter and Paul Church, Coy Tower, and of course, the neighborhood, wires and poles. I don't know how to explain it other than it being a landscape. Does it fit into the Java What series? Maybe, maybe not. But to me, it still has it's done in the same genre. I've tried to capture the same feeling with this. But in this case, I wanted to engage the viewer not only into one building, but into an environment. And this environment included North Beach. And I often refer to this as North Beach power. You've got religious power, you got electrical power, you have mandate. Here is a painting of a Bastille Bridge. It's called the Bastille Bridge. These bridges are very popular in Chicago. They're called Bastille Bridge because a Frenchman named Bastille designed them. And it's a drawbridge that sits over on 3rd Street near the slough, near the baseball park. And actually on the other side of this bridge is where Carmen's is. And it's one of the things that make this city unique and special to those people who know where it is. So I wanted to capture this, again, creating some sort of austere, unique feeling with it. You know, green sky, sort of a purple kind of water, a little slow moving, kind of a warm day, and solid, big, heavy concrete weight just suspended up in the air next to a frail little wooden shack with a little guy that sits up there and mans and opens and closes the bridges. And these are the old streetcars. These guys would run up and down Market Street and out into the avenues and clang, clang, clang. And there was a time when they used to run up and down all over. They were great. Inside they had the soft, cushiony seats with the little handles on them that you could sit on. And maybe you're lucky if you could get two people to sit on one seat. That's how small they are and nice and thin on the inside. And oftentimes in the afternoon, after 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there'd always be kids riding on the back of these things, stealing a ride back home from school. These guys are no longer out there anymore, except for what's going on outside on Market Street called the F-Lot, and they're restoring the whole thing. But I've been to just make a little small series of these paintings. I did these back in '99 of these old streetcars. I mean, they just have a way about them. They have sort of a feeling, you know, they almost look alive. They look like little places somehow. And these three guys seem to be talking to each other about what's going on and everything else. And sort of over here in the corner, you could see this yellow-orange guy who's the new one, the new buses, and so he came in and replaced these. So they're vehicles. But they're coming back. They're really classic and wonderful about like all the street cars. So they really had fun doing this. These are fun, and have a little series of them. I made a show on the show. So another thing in San Francisco, outside my studio window here, is just this old pipe. It's a pipe. It's a standpipe. I guess it's that the fire department uses. But they're all over, you know. I'm in a very old building. My building was built in 1909 after the quake. So it has all this antiquity in it, and this pipe just happened to be sitting there, and I thought I'd just make a painting of it one day, just in front of me to the yard. Because it was there. Guess what this is? This is the view out of my window, right out of my studio window. This is City Hall. This is where Gavin Newsom is. Where Willie Brown used to be. Where Neo Eliota was. This is the entrance. This is the UN Plaza on the way into City Hall. This is a summer shot of City Hall around sunset. The sky turns over orange and fiery yellow as it sets in the west. And it casts this beautiful, beautiful orange-yellow glow all over the streets. And I just was sitting there one day and picked it up. And it has this backlit feeling to it. I really enjoy this painting. It's one of my favorite pictures. I'm kind of crying to it. Did this 10 years ago and we still love it. The show is about the San Francisco world of Richard Perri, places, faces, and things. Here are some faces. I was trained as an academic portrait painter for a long time. And lately I decided to try and evolved into something that's a little bit more creative, a little bit more painted. I've incorporated digital imagery and enhanced it and painted it and created an image that I think is unique in its own way. I love the feeling of applying the paint to the canvas and working more with the paint and then having the image coming through as a result of it. These faces are some famous San Francisco people and not so famous San Francisco. This is a man named Perri St. John, who is one of the Bay Area figurative artists. He's a fantastic painter and he's a fantastic artist. This is my daughter, Ashlyn Perri, who's also a good artist. She's developing on her own. She's working very well with paint and also with photography. She's got a great eye, and she's coming along really well for a 15-year-old girl. She's doing fantastically. This is one of the greatest San Francisco painters. This is me. It's a self-portrait. And I had fun with this one. This was just a quick study using the imagery and the technique while I was developing. This is a picture of a man named Philip Hackett, who is a promoter, producer, and a poet. He was responsible in finding the Poets Gallery on the corner of Grant and Union Street that showed the work of many San Francisco North Beach painters and poets and had shows and live performances. Roger Mulkey, fantastic photographer in his own right, does beautiful work, and he's lived in San Francisco for a long time. He just moved over to the East Bay shortly. This man's name is Peter Sellers. He is the building manager in my building. Hell of a nice guy, and I thought I would have fun creating an image of him, and I think it's worked really well using the technique. Here we have another. This is a poet. His name is Bob Booker. He is a fantastic poet. He's another North Beach character. He promotes many poetry shows, and he's helped me out in a couple of my exhibits here at the studio. Another famous North Beach poet is this man here. His name is Mel Clay. He's a fantastic poet as well, a literary genius, as well as a visual artist. Here is a painter friend of mine who we go out and paint on location, along with a group called The Other Guys that I'm associated with. Perri St. John, who you just saw, is one of the guys. And she's also one of the people that come out and come with us. Currently, she's studying art in Italy with Florence. Moving along to the center here, another woman whose name is Marcia Garland. She is a strong patron of the arts. She's a avid North Beach patriot, if you will. She's the executive director of North Beach Chamber of Commerce. She has her own public relations firm. She's also a fantastic vocalist, and has been a good friend and a loyal companion for a number of years. Below is the man with the beret is Danny Macchiarini. His father was Peter Macchiarini, who was a jeweler, as he is. Both Dan and Peter had their legacy on Grant Avenue. Dan learned the trade from his father, and then it carries him on. This is a man who is a famous Bay Area figurative artist. He worked with Richard Devencorn and David Park. He's in the journals of the Bay Area figurative painters and artists. His name is Paul Warner. Fantastic individual as well, fantastic painter, and just a wonderful man. Here we have one of the famous beat poets, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, founder and owner of City Lights Books, also a visual artist in his own right, and characteristically a famous North Beach person. A famous politician who made his claim to fame when he just ran for mayor against Gavin Newsom and just barely lost. He was also president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, and he just retired last month to go into private practice. Filmmaker, and his name is Charles Webb. He's been making film and movies for the last 3 or 4 decades. Very creative and a fantastic filmmaker. And to his right It's a man named Theophilus Brown, who's an associate of Paul Warner, also a Bay Area figurative. This painter, friends with Healy, David Clark, and all of those guys. And then below is Charles Fracchia, who is the chairman and chief executive officer of the San Francisco Historical Society, and a fantastic individual. I'm responsible for giving me the opportunity to have this wonderful show here on it. This, as well as the other dozen or more pictures that you saw before this, are primarily studies. And the studies are designed to work on a larger format. And I'm working into this larger format in this image here. Again, it's a self-portrait. You can see how the vibrancy works on a larger scale. It's an engaging painting. I find it dramatic and fun to do. I so much like the thing that I'm onto right now. It has a feeling of and sense of creativity and power and satisfaction that I'm very, very pleased with. When I get into larger formats, I'll be dealing with much larger paint applicators, such as this, and perhaps this. These will be for more monumental, larger scale pictures. They come from a fantastic restaurant, culinary supply store, Sulatale. Anyway, these places have been really important to history and the landmarks of San Francisco. I kind of attribute the idea that these places really establish a gut feeling about what San Francisco is all about.